Let me know when we're live on Facebook.
I think we're live on Facebook.
We may be live on Facebook.
Let,
Okay.
let me just check on our Facebook page and see if it's good.
This is where we want to be.
I think we are live, 26
Delightful.
seconds.
Delightful. I'm Laura.
And I'm Nicole. And welcome to Read This Next Live.
Yay! Today's very special episode of Read This Next is, as we said, live. This is not pre-recorded. We're sitting in our offices right now. Nicole in her exciting office with lots going on. Me in my incredibly bare,
Dungeon.
very boring dungeon. Yes, that's right.
On opposite ends of town, but we're making it work.
Making it work. Okay, so with Read This Next, as you know, if you've been watching, we usually pick a specific topic for the week, and then we share highlights, which are generally like bestsellers or award winners. And then we share personal recs, which is usually ones that we've read ourselves or ones that we want to read ourselves. And then chat about maybe book news or other stuff. But this week it's different. Tell them about it, Nicole.
This week, we are responding to requests that you guys sent in earlier this week and maybe last week. I can't remember.
Perhaps.
And so we've got, I think, 6 or 7 here that were sent in, and we'll try and talk about all of them, but we might run out of time. So we'll see, because we're going to try not to go over like 25, 20. What are we aiming for?
We're chatty guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Every time we film, I end up with like 45 minutes of footage, and I'm like, how do I cut this down?
When it's all such high quality, it's difficult.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. So while we're talking, if you want to comment, then please do. We're going to try and keep an eye on the chat. There is a little bit of a delay, so it might take us a minute, but we will respond when we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said last time, if we're responding to your your interested comment, and we're recommending a book that you've read and you hated, then go ahead and tell us that. We can get some, fun feedback in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then I guess we should just get right into it then.
I think we should.
What do you have one that you want to start with? Because I know I have a few favorites, but
well, let's start with one of your favorites.
Okay. I really wanted to talk about historical books that are written like a story, but are about real people. So when I was searching this one, the term that came up a lot was nonfiction that reads like fiction. So if this person is looking for more books like that, just like Google that, and tons came up. But do you want to go back and forth with the list?
Sure.
Okay, so the first one that I found was The Devil in the White City, full title, Devil in the White City, Murder, Magic, and Madness at the Fair That Changed America by Erik Larson.
It's a great title.
I know, I love all the alliteration. So this one's an account of the Chicago World Fair in 1893, and it's a story of 2 men who shaped the history of the event: the architect, Daniel H. Burnham, who coordinated the construction, and the serial killer, Herman Mudgett.
What?
Yeah, that one sounds really cool.
Serial killer and a big fair. What more could you ask for? That sounds like lots of excitement.
Absolutely.
Okay. The next one is another Erik Larson title, and in general, you can't really go wrong. Erik Larson does a lot of this sort of feels like narrative nonfiction. So this one is Dead Wake: The Last Crossing of the Lusitania. I think I got it.
Nailed it.
I almost called it Louisiana, but that's not right. It was written or published around the 100th anniversary of the tragedy, and it discusses all the factors that led to it and the contributions of figures like President Wilson, a bookseller, Charles Laureate, and an architect. And I can see how maybe the president and an architect, but I don't know. It would be interesting to learn how a bookseller was involved.
Yeah.
I don't see a natural connection there.
Also, there was an architect in the previous one by Eric Larson. Maybe he likes
Different.
architects.
Maybe he does.
He's like, I'm going to do a history on all architects and then see how they all connect. And that's going to be my genre.
That, I bet you could do lots of interesting things with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of architects out there.
There really are.
Okay, next one was Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, a Savannah story by John Behrend.
Behrend.
There's a DT at the end, and I'm never sure how to pronounce that. Okay, so it's a sublime and seductive reading experience, brilliantly conceived and masterfully written. That tells you a lot about the story, which was what the description was in Novelist. So I had to go look up another place that told me what it was about.
Look a little deeper.
Yeah, so shots rang out in Savannah's grandest mansion in the misty early mornings of May 2, 1981. Was it murder or self-defense? For nearly a decade, the shooting and its aftermath reverberated throughout this hauntingly beautiful city of moss-hung oaks and shaded squares. And it sounds like it's really good, Old South, and history galore in that one. But again, murder? I'm into it. Maybe I should start reading more books with is it murder or something else?
Sure. Yeah. And leave the fantasy behind and just move strictly into all murders all the time.
Yeah.
I went through a period where I just read, and I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I read just kidnapping books for a month straight, just one after another.
You go into that kind of a state of mind. It's like you with your zombie books, right?
Yes, with the zombie books.
I read 40 zombie books in 1 year.
No, that was over 10 years. That makes me sound absolutely crazy.
1 year.
That makes me sound insane. 46 books in 1 year.
46 books.
Okay, and then our last one, I believe, one that's a nonfiction is called Pilgrim's Wilderness. It's by Tom Kizia. A larger-than-life story about a maniacal cult leader living in the Alaskan wilderness. And this journalist, Tom Kizia is a journalist, weaves a dramatic narrative of Papa Pilgrim, a mysterious religious patriarch, and his battle with the National Park Service. Or his children, willing followers, or helpless victims in desperate need of rescue. I feel like very often people involved with a cult, maybe both, to different degrees.
That's fair. This probably takes place in America, but I'm imagining.
Indeed. Well, it's in Alaska.
Oh, did I miss that? Yeah, I did.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I was imagining this happening in the Yukon, and it's the Royal Mounties, and they're just
get out of here.
On a moose or something. That's what Canadians ride. What category do you want to do next?
Maybe we'll do short stories.
Okay.
So I've got some fun ones, very fun ones. And, because I can't really help myself. These are also ones that I have read.
Of course. That makes them even better recommendations.
This book has, so I should say what the category is. So someone asked for short story recommendations, short story collections, and decided to go a little further afield with this one. It's a Russian author, and she has a gift for titles, I would say. This particular collection is called There Once Was a Mother Who Loved Her Children Until They Moved Back In.
That sounds like the beginning of a fairy tale.
Right? But then it gets even better because the little subtitle is 3 novellas about family. And then, so it's delightful. It's by Ludmila Petrushevska. I'm sure
that was an excellent. I think you did great.
I tried. Translated by Anna Summers. And that one we have in hard copy only in the library. So you'd have to place a hold on it. It is very, they're funny stories. It's a little quote from the book, love them, meaning your children. Love them, they'll torture you. Don't love them, they'll leave you anyway. So she tends to write kind of everyday Russian lives, which sounds like, oh, maybe that'd be really specific, but in many ways it's just everyday people lives, right? Relationships between parents and children are basically the same everywhere. But she looks at them with profound pathos and mordant wit. Funny. Doesn't sound like it's going to be, but it is. Dry, funny. These novellas are among her most famous and controversial works, modern classics. And the description specifically references that very famous quote of Tolstoy's, that all happy families are alike and every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
Oh, I've never heard that, I don't think.
Oh no, it's a good one. That's
Ooh.
Tolstoy. But so this description, her short stories are another look at that kind of famous statement. Yeah, very, very good. Russian author, lots of fun.
Love that. Do you want to tell me about the next one too, since you've read that one too?
I will, and then I will. Yay. This one is yet another one with a delightful title.
Same author?
No. This book is called An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good.
I want to know what she's up to.
No good. It's by Helen Tursten and then translated by Marlene Delgari. And that's a Swedish author. It's one of those, it's short stories, but they're all about the same people, the same apartment building. So it follows through, like they're each self-contained stories that you could just read the story and go, or you can read the whole thing and there'll be the characters are through line throughout. So our elderly lady is an 88-year-old Swedish woman with no family, no friends, and no qualms about a little murder. We all have our hobbies. So a funny, irreverent story. And ever since her darling father's death, Maud has lived in the family's spacious apartment in downtown Gotham rent-free, thanks to a minor clause in a hastily negotiated contract. So she's been living there since she was 18, rent-free. So there's so the stories are about her interactions with the people who own the apartment and the other renters in the apartment, because that's really what her life centers around. She travels herself. What she does is she travels the world and surfs the net, but from the comfort of an armchair. It's a solitary existence, but she likes it that way. But then over the course of her adventures in this book, she handles a crisis with a local celebrity who has her eyes on Maud's apartment, foils the engagement of her long ago lover, and disposes of some pesky neighbors. But when the local authorities are called to investigate a murder in her apartment complex, will Maud be able to avoid suspicion, or will Detective Inspector Irene Huss see through her charade? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and that one actually is available in all the ways. You can get a hard copy from the library by placing a hold, or you can read it as an ebook or listen to it as an e-audiobook on Cloud Library.
That's actually something I forgot to mention about the historical books that are written by like a story, but are about real people. Some of them were available in collections. Some of them were available in Cloud Library. I forgot to mark that down.
When after we're finished the episode later today, or possibly on Tuesday, there will be a blog post on our Off the Shelf blog, and it will have all the titles that we've mentioned, and we'll have information there where you can find them.
Excellent.
So we'll hit it. We'll get that info. No worries.
Get it out there. All right. Let me just check how long we've been going for so we don't go for 8 years.
Good call.
No, it's just... Oh, that makes sense. I could just look at the literal time. Here I am looking at the live stream on Facebook being like, does it say how long we've been recording? No. Okay. I'll talk about... one person put in a request that says they wanted books about doing things in their life with a purpose and cutting out. I talked to this person like in real life and I said, what do you mean by this request? And they basically said they're like really organized and they know they have a good routine, but they're trying to cut out like things in their life that aren't. They're trying to optimize their routine kind of and like pare down to only what needs to be done so that they have more time for other things.
That sounds admirable and smart.
Yeah. Yeah. So I found a couple books about that. The first one was Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. A lot of the books that when I was searching were about minimalism, which was not what they wanted.
Yes.
So this one was called, it's by Greg McCone, I'm going to say. I'm not sure. I cannot pronounce anybody's names, including my own some days.
We'll list it.
All right. Have you ever found yourself stretched too thin? Do you simultaneously feel overworked and underutilized? Are you often busy but not productive? Do you feel like your time is constantly being hijacked by other people's agendas? If you answered yes to any of these, the way out.
Attacked by these questions.
I came out here to have a good time, and I'm honestly feeling so attacked right now.
Yes, basically.
Well, then this book's for you, Laura.
I guess so.
This book isn't about getting more done in less time. It's about getting only the right things done. It's not a time management strategy or a productivity technique. It's a systematic discipline for discerning what is absolutely essential, then eliminating everything that is not, so we can make the highest possible contribution towards the things that really matter. So I think that one would be really good. And then the other one that I found is this person is a parent. So, and I know that adds a whole slew of complications to being productive and having routines, right?
Very true.
Yeah. So there was one called Simplicity Parenting by Kim John Payne. And this is what the description says. Today's busier, faster, supersized society is I gotta slow down. Is waging an undeclared war on childhood.
What?
I know. As the pace of life accelerates to hyperspeed with too much stuff, too many choices, and too little time, children feel the pressure. They can become anxious, have trouble with friends or school, even be diagnosed with behavioral problems. Now, in defense of the extraordinary power of less, internationally renowned family consultant Kim John Payne. Oh no.
Good job. Internationally renowned family consultant.
Found the next page. I lost it for a second. I don't know if this is man or woman. They help claim Kim John Payne helps parents reclaim for their children the space and freedom that all kids need, allowing their children's attention to focus and their individuality to flourish. So that one's good. And then the last one was Present Over Perfect, leaving behind frantic for a simpler, more soulful way of living. And that one, you follow a woman who went through kind of the same experience. It's very similar to the other two, but it might be, if you want to read like from that person's perspective, that might be what you want.
Sure. That one's more of a memoir.
Yeah, I think so. We're kind of the memoir where she's like, oh, this is my experience of doing this thing that I know you also want to do.
Okay, we're going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick one. We had someone ask for a thriller. And I know there's like thrillers and suspense. There's so many, and a lot of them are those, I think like sort of domestic thrillers where it's like, our life looks so perfect, but I killed my husband, or, you know,
but
my child is actually a psychopath. What? It's like a subgenre. But so I decided to look for something that was a little different. So another book that's available actually in every possible large print, hard copy, ebook, and e-audiobook on Cloud Library. Lots of options for this one. It's called Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips. And I'll give you, so the premise is that this woman is at the zoo with her 4-year-old son. But then they're trying to, you know, the zoo is closing, so it's time to go. They're going to closing time. And then she sees some people coming in with weapons. So she turns around and heads back into the zoo. And the next 3 hours, which is the entire scope of the book, is just this 3-hour period, is basically what unfolds in those next 3 hours within the zoo. So it stays like in that space and in that time. And it's her knowledge of, like, because the zoo is one of their hangouts, so she knows like where there's under renovation exhibits or where the back paths are, where the snack machines are, so they can get some food. That's what keeps them like helps them survive. And it's really interesting as a parent because it's like 4-year-olds, you can only control them so much. They're going to get tired and cranky. And when you can't make a noise, right? Or
Yeah.
you have to try and explain like why we can't just go eat. We can't do this. We can't do that. It was really interesting reading it as a parent. It was quite good. And one of their little taglines was that it asks where the boundary is between our animal instinct to survive and our human duty to protect one another.
Wow. That sounds really cool.
It is. It's really cool. And that maybe makes it sound more serious than it is. Like it is serious and kind of intense, but it's also super fast paced, like thrill ride. Real good.
I love
Fierce
that.
Kingdom.
Fierce Kingdom. Check it out on any platform, any device, whatever you want.
Wherever you like to read.
It's that good.
Okay. What do you figure? You want to do the folk tales ish?
Sure, we can either do folktales or we can do humorous memoirs. Folktales would be good though. I gotta find my piece of paper. I got it.
Lesser known folk tales was the request.
No, wait, I lost it. Oh, I got it again. Okay. Yeah, the person said that they were already going to be reading Nikolai Gogol, so we tried not to pick that. And I also, a lot of the folktale ones that we have at the library are children's section, which doesn't mean they're not good, and it doesn't mean that they're not accurate. It just means that they're usually a bit shorter, and they, depending on the author, can be a little bit more fun and light. But again, you find the classic Hans Christian Andersen in the children's department, and those can be pretty
intense.
That's a good word for it. So the first one that I found was a children's one, and it was called Folk Tales for Fearless Girls. Curses to be broken, riddles to be solved, king's favors to be won. These are the standard stories we've heard in folk tales and fables for as long as we can remember. Challenges faced and overcome by princes and knights in shining armor. The folk tales for fearless girls, though, we see a different set of heroes charge across the page. In fact, we see heroines. So it talks about all of long before J.K. Rowling brought us Hermione Granger, well before Katniss Everdeen entered the arena, these fierce protagonists were role models for girls throughout the ages. So it sounds really good. I want it.
Check it out.
I want it.
Stories from China, Russia, Persia, India, Armenia, the UK, Spain, France, Southern Africa, Egypt, and Germany.
Mm-hmm. Everywhere. So this is like a really good all over the map kind of one. Yeah. And then the next one that we had was The Girl Who Married a Lion by Alexander McCall Smith. This one brings together a treasury of traditional African folk tales and lore from, I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Zimbabwe.
Oh, no, I was the first one. It's spelled Ndebele.
Oh, that I don't know.
No, me neither. Okay, so I've spelled it. I'll look it up later. People of Zimbabwe and the Setswana people of Botswana, including Milkbird, why the elephant and hyena live far from people, and other fables. And what else do we have? One more, Folk Tales of India, which is more of an academic one. And then we also have Wisconsin Chippewa Myths and Tales and the Relation to Chippewa Life, which gives more of a sociology perspective about how it gives them context. And that one is available only, it will become available when Brody's open again because it's part of the special collection, which is always cool to check out. So you can only read it in the library. So maybe you shouldn't have recommended that one yet. But if you look it up online and you find it there, pretty good one to look at, in my opinion. And then I think you found one that was more fiction?
Yes, it's fiction, but it's based on an ancient Indian folklore piece, the Mahabharata.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an epic fantasy series. Sounds really good. Demons, demigods, kind of an epic fantasy jam. Sounds exciting, based on different folktales from around the world. So that's why I threw that one in. It's not exactly what they were looking for, but I thought it was kind of a interesting one to share as well.
Yeah, especially
Yes.
if I misinterpreted them and gave them all nonfiction when they wanted fiction. Who knows? And we're sitting at 26 minutes. So
We are. I think we had one more, a quick request for World War II historical fiction. So I have 3 short recs for that. So there's one called, 2 that are kind of read-alikes for The Alice Network by Kate Quinn, which was last year or 2 years ago and really, really big and popular if you read that. So these 2 are similar in that they're centered on female characters, and they're also about people who are being spies or part of the resistance or whatnot. So Codename Helene by Ariel Lawhorn, and then also Secret Messenger by Mandy Robotham. And both of those are in our collection. So you can place holds to pick those up at either Waverly or Mary J.
Yay!
And then the last one is Children of the Stars by Mario Escobar. And that one is a little bit different. It's another World War II fiction story, but it's based on 2 brothers and their kind of journeys across Europe trying to be reunited with their parents.
I like that. Perfect.
Okay.
We got like 5 requests in there. We had more, but you know what? Maybe we can maybe include the titles in the show notes. And definitely. I also looked it up. So I'm just gonna play it, see if we can all hear it. Ndebele. That's how you pronounce it. And they're a people of Zimbabwe and northeastern South Africa. So now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah. We know more.
Okay. I just took a look and we don't have any comments, so we don't have to add any more quick recs, but we would like to invite you that if you think of something that you would like a suggestion from us, a recommendation, then you can always throw it in the comments. And the other thing we're also open to is if you think of a topic that you'd like us to tackle in an episode, then just let us know.
Yeah, I think next week we're going to be doing witches, and keep in mind, I think we're going to be doing another Read This Next Live August 28th. Is that the date?
I think so.
Yeah, so if you're watching this and you're like, oh no, I missed my opportunity, there's another one next month. And so you can always just direct message us and say, hey, this is what I want. Again, always check out Book Butler online, and we're starting to do book bundles for adults, teens, kids. So that's also available online, all that good stuff. Anything else to add?
No, just I think check us out keep an eye on the social media for links to all those excellent services. We want to get the books in your hands. Yeah.
And follow us everywhere. TBPL everywhere. TBPL Teens on Instagram. TBPL on YouTube. This is what YouTubers do, right? They do the follow me here, follow me there.
True. They do.
Wow, we're such good YouTubers.
True professionals.
All right, I think we'll end it there, and we will see you guys all next week, same time, same place.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Now I gotta figure out how to do it. Bye.